Areas with which the future opponent hardly or not at all engaged.
1.5 pairs with normal equipment.
The start of this activity was the deep belief that long ago a powerful civilization existed on Earth about an immense, now lost, secret knowledge. Knowledge that continued to exist, scattered and hidden, just waiting to be found, to be revived. This knowledge was to aid in the rebirth of the Superman, the descendant of the ancient Aryans. From the very beginning, the Ahnenerbe researchers devoted special attention to the continent of Atlantis. The scientists thought to be a pioneer in DNA research on the original home of the Aryan race. According to legend, the Atlanteans were supposed to have been able to build huge airships powered by unknown forces.
In the German tactical... The
Ahnenerbe considered this representation to be real. His team believed in the existence of unique technological knowledge that could be utilized for their own purposes if one were to gather and solve the encrypted messages.
From this perspective, the Ahnenerbe began to explore the secret knowledge and origins of the Indo-European civilizations. It's assumed that the staff of the Ahnenerbe knew of a map, which the Turkish admiral Piri Reis mapped at the beginning of the 16th century, had created. On this map, Reis also recorded the exact ice-free coastal outlines of the Arctic, of a continent that was officially discovered 300 years later. Handwritten marginal notes of the admiral indicate that he had relied on sources that were more than 3,000 years old. Had been. Who knew 3,000 years before Piri Reis what the Arctic continent looked like without the ice masses? Who had the capabilities and interest to measure the ice-free continent so precisely? Was there a civilization thousands of years ago for which the Arctic played a special role? Questions the US military specialists couldn't answer.
The map displays the riverbanks before they were covered by ice. The ice in this area measures 1.5 kilometers thick. We have no clue how it was possible to achieve such results in the year 1513.
International research expeditions that tested the accuracy of the Reis map on site centuries later found that the records from the year 1513 were more accurate than maps made in the 20th century. Elaborate seismological studies show what had not even been suspected until then. Some of the mountains usually attributed to the continent are actually islands. Our knowledge also reflected on the Piri Reis map. Piri Reis must have owned ancient records that came from a time when Antarctica was still ice-free. One can imagine the impression this mysterious map made on the followers of the Aryan theory. The Piri Reis map proved the existence of sources thousands of years old, exactly those sources that the Ahnenerbe researchers were searching for. The extraordinary map fueled the hope of finding the lost technological magical heritage of the Atlanteans, a highly advanced civilization that, according to Nazi scientists, had settled in Antarctica before it was covered with a mile-thick layer of ice. Was covered. The legendary Atlantis. If maps with knowledge thousands of years old had survived the ages, the rest of the secrets of Atlanta had to be there too. The only question was, where? Scientific expeditions of the Ahnenerbe searched around the world for the lost documents. The travels ranged from Tibet to South America. The investigators were also focused on the archives of the legendary Order of the Templars. there are serious indications that the extensive libraries of the order survived the bloody downfall of the Templar community unscathed. It was not unlikely that secret manuscripts were stored in these archives, similar to the Piri Reis map containing important detailed knowledge. Antarctica emerged. In the military-occupied territories, SS special units searched libraries for rare manuscripts and maps. Everything dealing with occult topics and secret sciences was collected and scientifically evaluated. The Ahnenerbe eventually possessed an extensive special library. There's a statement from a former librarian of the Potsdam Library, which confirms that in March 1945, as the Soviet forces approached Berlin, the Ahnenerbe Library, a collection of about 140,000 books, packed and secured for safety. Even the catalogue of this library was definitely very interesting. Given the intense search, it is entirely plausible that the Ahnenerbe gained information on Antarctica that brought the continent into focus. Certeza advanced. By now, it is known that esoteric circles within the SS also pursued the legendary Holy Grail. Whoever possessed him and the Holy Lance could, according to an old legend, achieve world domination. Hitler knew this legend. After the annexation of Austria in the year 1938, he had the lance with which he was vested. Allegedly, a Roman soldier confirmed the death of Jesus on the cross. From Vienna to Nuremberg. To fulfill the prophecy, all that was missing now was the king. At this point, the occult Nazi circles faced various problems. They not only had to reconcile the centuries-old mystical traditions with modern scientific and technical knowledge, it was also unclear what the matter was. Concerning the male character of the Holy Lance and the female of the Holy Grail, and what conclusions followed from it, had to be closed. The combination of the latest scientific findings with ancient knowledge, it might have been productive and forward-looking, had it not aimed for the global domination of the chosen race. Only recognized specialists were hired for the diverse research work of the heritage of the ancestors. Hundreds of employees and countless experts at around 50 universities and scientific institutes covered mathematical and astronomical, genetic and medical topics. Simultaneously and invisible to the public, in the innermost circle, all important information on occult and magical matters was gathered and evaluated. Of special interest,